Welcome there, students. So last week you did some practice with compare and contrast paragraphs, and you flexed the body paragraph structure or form in various ways. So you've been doing some experimenting within the confines of that structure that I presented very early this semester, and that's hopefully that was enlightening to you, and just to see that you have options within the whole main idea evidence analysis tie-in thing. Long and short of it is every paragraph ought to have information coupled with analysis, and you can explore that structure in different ways depending on what you're trying to do with each new paragraph. And to me, hopefully that is very illuminating and insightful, because we're going to be writing different papers with different demands, and you're going to see that that is the common thread through them all. It's always preview the idea in that topic sentence, give information, help us see something deeper than what's on the surface in your analysis, and then conclude the paragraph. That's our mode, that's our method for body paragraphs. But hey, look, I don't want to go too long on this video, because I just rewatched this particular video, which kind of takes you through everything in a very slow, what's the word, methodical, thorough way, I guess. But so in my overview video here, I just want to say that two things are due for you from you this week. There's this pre-writing chart where I want you to do the chart like you did last week with high school and community college, but I want you to do it with your particular paper topic, okay? And I have some advice in here too. What does that say? I am likely to only give brief feedback on your ideas. Yep, that's true. That I don't know about this. I don't have papers yet because I'm trying things a little bit different this semester. So I do not have old papers to grade. I do have old homework that I need to grade for some of my face-to-face classes. But I think I'll be able to get back to you very quickly on your charts. But it's not a bad idea to toss up a plan B. Or I'd like to recommend that any one of you should feel free to email me, like as soon as you see this video. Email me the 2 or 3 ideas you're considering. Sometimes it's a good idea to go ahead and do the chart yourself, and that might tell you which idea is the best. So you might not need my help at all. If you do the pre-writing chart for each idea you're considering for this compare and contrast paper, you might find, oh, well, this one is clearly more focused and I have so much more to say, so I'm going with this one. I don't need you, Mr. Tuck, but maybe you do want my input, and if you do, that's fine. Feel free to email me. But that's due in the middle of the week, and at the end of the week, 400 words are due. So that would be, roughly not quite half the paper, I believe. But before you get too far, make sure you read the assignment handout, which is on the previous page, I believe. I'm going to copy that real quick and get that over there. Yeah, let's move that right over there so you don't miss it. I know it's probably been in 3 places already. But anyway, so charts are due midweek. 400 words are due at the end, not 600 words. You won't see this by the time I've finished with this. But and then next week there'll be another submission point where I can look at another chunk of the paper, and maybe we'll talk a little bit about source use, and there is a source use requirement for this paper. And then final draft will be due by the end of the week. I don't want you to work really far forward, though I may end up opening next week to you just so you can see when all the due dates will be. And the reason I don't want you to work forward is because, early next week will be the first chance I've got to read the 400 words of your paper. And what if you had moved forward with a paper topic I didn't approve of, or what if there's a lot of danger in working too far forward, and that, because what that means is you're not waiting for my feedback and my input and my advice, and I might have some corrective things to tell you to straighten you out so that you pursue the right direction. I'll tell you something that can commonly happens with this one is I look at the pre-writing and I got the charts and someone, let's just say, I got one of my online students emailed me, and you said, I want to compare and contrast being a CNA and being an LPN, so a licensed practice nurse, and the CNA is kind of like an entry level nursing type job. So that's a reasonable compare and contrast discussion to have. Now, I don't want to do your work for you, student, but I could imagine the topics you might include would say something like salary. Okay, that's pretty surface. But what would be more interesting would be like things you're legally or duties you're expected to do. Um, I don't know the type of work is that's not a conversation I'm prepared to have. But let me tell you, those are better categories, better topics than someone who would at the top of their chart write something like pros and cons. And that's a big mistake because you're not writing an evaluative paper. You're writing a compare and contrast that talks about objectively approaches the differences of two things. So there may be pros and cons throughout the discussion, but the point of the paper isn't to persuade the reader of one thing over the other. It's not to evaluate how one thing is better or worse. It's really just to acknowledge that two things that on the surface appear similar are actually quite different when looked at carefully and deeply. And let's think about, appreciate, understand those differences and express why they matter. So in my abbreviated paper, it looks like I didn't keep this video short after all. But sometimes in my feedback to people's outlines and charts, I find myself saying, critiquing certain topics and saying, no, you're going to want to explore that further. I guess an example might be in that high school and community college chart, academic rigor might be one of those things that's a little too broad. Well, what do you mean, like academic difficulty? Well, if we break that down, some of those things could be, well, this is how homework is, and this is how testing is, and this is how studying is, and this is how, papers, how many papers you have to write. Like that, all those things factor into academic rigor. So why would you have one point that umbrellas over those four more interesting and deeper and more analytical points? You see what I'm saying? So in your outline, try not to make that particular mistake. What is this? I think I might have posted the wrong file here. Oh no, there it is. So here you can see an outline for, I don't have a chart for this thing, but this is the outline that would have been derived from the chart. Yeah, I like this criteria. But if I'd had one that said pros and cons, or for example, it just doesn't really fit this scheme of this particular compare and contrast discussion. So let the criteria break down the paragraph structure, the organization of the discussion. So that's my 2 cents. And, again, feel free to email me some paper topics. Don't Google paper topics. It's a terrible idea. Just write about what you're interested in, y'all. Spend a little bit of time thinking about that, what 2 things you could discuss. If you have an opinion about something you care about, I just feel like this is the paper for you. It gives you a chance to sort those things out.